The story began in Japan, where our protagonist Yagami was working on his day off in the company. He had work to complete before the deadline, which originally belonged to his colleague Takahashi. Takahashi felt bad about making his senior Yagami work like that because of him. But Yagami was kind, and he responded with it being okay, calling it his duty as the training staff. He told Takahashi it was okay to make mistakes as a newcomer, as long as they don't repeat the same mistakes. Then Takahashi's phone started ringing, and after a few minutes of ringing, Yagami pointed it out to him. The phone rang from Takahashi's girlfriend's birthday, which was also their dating anniversary. Yagami heard and understood the situation, then he told Takahashi to return home, giving him the excuse that there was nothing left for Takahashi to work on. He also reminded him to reflect on his mistakes for now, and it would be faster for him to work alone so Takahashi didn't need to worry about him. Yagami considerately told Takahashi to not leave his girlfriend alone on a day like that. After hearing that, Takahashi's respect for Yagami increased, and he bowed to him to express his gratitude before returning to home. After he left, Yagami finished the work in time and headed out of the office to return. On the outside, he got called out by Takahashi, who came to meet him with his girlfriend. Yagami asked him what happened, and Takahashi said sorry again for making his senior handle his work. Takahashi's girlfriend also apologized to Yagami politely to have more work, and as an apology, she brought some things in a bag. She handed it to Yagami. He didn't mind anything. When he saw the bag, it was a set of salad, miso soup, and some mashed food. He was glad to receive it, and stated that he would eat them after returning home. Takahashi said they should go to a family restaurant as Yagami just got off from work. Yagami was glad, but he declined as he should return home since it was a special day for Takahashi and his girlfriend. They were shy hearing his words, and as their gratitude they at least wanted to see him off to the station. They started walking to the station, and Takahashi's girlfriend mentioned that he used to talk a lot about his senior Yagami, and they started having cozy conversations with each other. Yagami felt like he was interrupting their date and just wanted to go back in a different way. But when he turned, he saw a little kid running carelessly on the road, which was about to be hit by a truck moving in speed. Yagami shouted to warn the boy, and before it gets late, he ran himself to save the kid. Yagami got just in time to push the kid away, but he himself ended up being hit by the truck. And so the next thing he could see was the people gathered around him, Takahashi calling out his name and requesting him to stay conscious until the ambulance arrived. Thanks to Yagami, the child got out with only minor scratches, but now, Yagami was starting to lose his senses slowly. He realized that he was going to die now, and felt it would have been better to send someone off than being sent off like this, and it was painful to see someone being sad about his death. In his final moments, he heard some kind of voice searching for something. He wished he could have lived up to 80 years, and the voice started searching for those who can live for 80 years. He also regrets about learning so much in his job, but it was all for nothing, and wished he could transfer those skills to Takahashi. The voice searched for transferable skill and came to one conclusion. He was confused by that unknown voice, but in the next moment, he found himself being transferred to another world. When he opened his eyes, he saw the forest and sky. He wondered why he wasn't dead, and his skin had also turned blue. But when he saw in front of him, it was a group of goblins which seemed to be scared of him. They told him that he fell from the sky, and Yagami realized that he was now a goblin. He got hit by the truck and died, but soon reincarnated into a different world as a goblin. He found it funny at first, but after a month of living with them, he had now become a part of them. And this time, he learned many things, like goblins were insanely fertile, and female goblins could get pregnant even when they already had a baby in their womb, which was also why the goblins had a lifespan of only 7 days, and goblins were also born with some special skills, and they could even transfer their skills to another goblin at the time of their deaths. His own special skill was human 80 years, which gave him the lifespan of 80 years. Since he had lived for a month, he had already sent off 4 generations of goblins, which led to him having received a total of over 200 skills from those who passed away. But even if he could use his skills freely, upon his death only one of them, human 80 years, could be passed on to the next goblin. One day, he went in the forest randomly walking around, and eating delicious fruits along the way. It was a fact that goblins never sleep, and this was the same for him even if he had a lifespan of 80 years. But the thing that troubled him the most was his extremely active hormones, which led to his sex drive being 3 to 4 times that of a human. He was famous among the goblins, but he didn't see them in that way. Now while walking, he stumbled across the demon lord in a critical state lying under a tree. He still didn't know it was a demon lord, so he just went ahead and tried to cure the injured with his healing skill. He tried for a while, but it didn't work. The demon lord asked if he wasn't scared of this demon lord, to which his response was being shocked. After taking a closer look, he believed it was possible in this world just like other monsters and demons. Even so, he continued healing. The demon lord realized he wasn't just a normal goblin, and told him that his injury couldn't be cured by anything, including the healing he was casting on him. He tried to think of some solution, and asked the demon lord if there was any way to help him with any of his 277 skills. The demon lord was surprised to hear that, and bursted into laughter hearing that. Demon lord thought it was because of some mutation, and stated that if the goblin could hold that many skills, then he must have a bigger vessel to hold more. Seeing his ability to inherit skills from other species, Demon Lord asked if he wanted to receive his skill. Yagami was surprised to hear that, and remembered how he had already sent off many goblins, so he knew how important it was for the Demon Lord to entrust him with his skill in his final moments. He acknowledged his wish to leave a proof that they were once alive, and so he came up with the decision to finally accept Demon Lord's offer. Demon Lord smirked, and started focusing on bringing out his skill with all the strength he had, to give his skill, Law of the Jungle, to the goblin. The goblin Yagami received the skill, which has the tendency to make others obey those who are stronger than them. Once Yagami defeats someone from now on, they would absolutely obey him no matter what, and they could never betray him. After informing Yagami about this, the Demon King passed away with a smile on his face, after making a nameless goblin the next Demon Lord and left the rest to him. Yagami witnessed the Demon Lord's final moments, and the same day, the whole world was filled with joy on the confirmation of the Demon Lord's death, who had raged for over 100 years. But it was yet to be revealed that somewhere, a part of him hadn't disappeared completely, which was his skill with a goblin. When Yagami returned to his village, he saw that goblins were gathered. He went and asked what the commotion was about. They told him that one goblin killed a human, which was extremely bad news for all of them. Among them, there was even a taboo against killing humans, but the trader in question stated that he couldn't do anything else when the human was the first one to attack him out of nowhere. Even in self-defense, it was bad for everyone since the humans would soon come to attack the goblins. Not long after, a goblin came running desperately to inform everyone about the arrival of humans. All goblins fell into tension of what would happen to them now, as they weren't strong or anything to be able to protect themselves. Then Yagami stepped forward and asked which direction were the humans in. He learned there were 50 humans in total. He calmed everyone, stating that he would do something about this. The goblins were still worried as they didn't believe he could do anything against humans. Yagami went to the humans in a group and approached the woman who seemed to be in charge of them. He initiated wanting to have a talk with her, but she commanded everyone to attack him. Seeing no other way through it, he used his iron body, which was stronger than their weapons, which got broken upon making contact. He then used Stone Blast, summoning countless stones to strike them. The soldiers couldn't do much against his attacks, and he kept on using his skills until he defeated 49 of them. They, in charge, called them incompetent to defeat even a goblin, and then Yagami again approached her with the wish to talk to her. She heard him and took off her helmet, agreeing to give him a listen. Her name was Karen, and then Yagami went on to tell her that he knew what happened couldn't be forgiven easily, but he told her that she couldn't attack his village just for that reason. He asked if they wanted to annihilate them, which he couldn't allow. He told her that he was a goblin judge, which surprised her that goblins could have someone like that, and so he stated that the goblin in question would be given a punishment of 7 days in jail. She called it ridiculous and said that life imprisonment sounded more reasonable. He informed Karen about the lifespan of goblins, which was only 7 days, and she could even monitor them to ensure that sentence was carried out. She gave it a thought while they started into each other's eyes with sheer determination. The other soldiers called it stupid and charged towards Yagami, but he used the Law of the Jungle, which made all of the soldiers swear their loyalty to him and serve his commands. Karen was shocked by the change and found it amusing, so she agreed to Goblin's negotiations and acknowledged their laws in the jungle. She asked him if he had a name. He thought his Japanese name would be weird, and he didn't have any names in this world, so he came up with the name Akira, and Karen introduced herself too as the security inspector. Karen commanded everyone to withdraw afterwards. When Akira returned to the village, all the goblins called him their hero, who was able to negotiate with the humans. They acknowledged him so much that they made him their village head from now on. After 2 days went by, Karen came to Akira after confirming that the goblin in jail died. She pointed out why Akira was wearing a weird white outfit and hair with a staff. Akira informed her that he was made the village chief after that incident. She said it didn't suit him. Then he apologized and started changing to his former appearance. She claimed that him being the village chief made things more convenient. He understood the reason behind that must be the higher-ups being unsatisfied from the situation, which left her stunned to witness a goblin being aware of that. While he knew how the higher-ups were everywhere usually, even his previous life they were never satisfied, which he understood was also the case in this world too. He sympathized with her, but she declined to need his sympathy. Karen said that the current situation was that he would need to go to her superiors and persuade them. Once they were convinced, everything would be settled. Akira knew he had to meet them sooner or later, and if they were not convinced, the goblin village was still not safe and he couldn't just abandon them, so he agreed to what Karen asked him to. Karen and Akira traveled back to the human city full of people. Akira felt out of place. Moreover, he was being carried on a horse while Karen was holding the horse. He told her it was embarrassing with a shy look on his face, but she asked him to bear with it, to ensure nobody would attack him, as some of the people in the city were scared of just mention of monsters. He understood that he could keep out unnecessary trouble if he was being welcomed as a guest. But when he looked at them, the people didn't look like they were scared but more curious. Karen told him once they used to keep goblins as pets because they were regarded as cute like children. He understood what she meant by cute, and she continued to tell that the trend was abandoned because goblins had short lifespans, which was understandable for Akira. Soon, they reached the mansion and entered through the front gates. Now Akira was free to move, and he was dumbfounded by the luxury and bright nature of the mansion itself. He got stiff, and Karen asked one of the maids to show him the way to the toilet. When he went there, even the toilet was filled with shiny decorations and items around. He found himself wandering in this huge mansion, and while doing so, his eyes stopped on an old man gardening a tree. He went to him and asked if he liked gardening. The old man turned and saw that the question came from a goblin, which was very unusual. He asked if Akira was captured, to which he replied that he came here of his own will. The old man asked what Akira wanted and if it was something like attacking the town. Akira told him that he came here to talk, and informed him about the incident of a goblin killing a human. The old man claimed to have heard of it already. Akira stated that he came here to take the responsibility with no hint of lying in his eyes. The old man asked if he was the murderer, to which Akira told him he was in charge of the village, which was why he thought it would be appropriate for him to be the one to apologize. The old man stated that it was obvious or else Goblin Village would be destroyed. Akira then talked about how humans and goblins both made mistakes. However, it was fine to make them until they don't repeat them, which was why he came here to avoid losing the opportunity to apologize for the mistake when he can. The old man was impressed and asked if Akira had come from the toilet. Akira agreed and complained how large it was for no reason. Most of the space was unnecessary, and the old man also agreed on this, claiming that the one who got it made must have been a fool. Akira told the old man to stop badmouth it loudly or he might be in trouble, but then Karen arrived calling out for Count. The Count was none other than the old man in front of Akira. She was looking for Count to inform him that she brought the goblin in question, but it seemed they had already met each other. Akira heard her, and up to now he thought the old man was just some gardener. Karen told him to watch his mouth before speaking like that about the owner of this mansion, an uncle of His Majesty the Emperor, Count Orleans. Akira was astonished to learn that, and accused Count of tricking him as an old man. Count said it was rude to put it that way considering he was just doing it as a hobby, and thanks to that, he got to hear something interesting from Akira. Count closed the matter and asked Akira to follow him while he dismissed Karen. The old man Count had now taken a liking to Akira. The Count took Akira to the bar filled with hot girls around. They saw Akira as a cute goblin, and they hugged him to their heart's content while he enjoyed that. Akira asked Count what this place was, to which he first asked him to call him Simone, like friends. All of this preparation and place was set up for only two of them, since Simone liked Akira because he was sexy. Simone claimed that a man must be sexy otherwise there was no meaning to be born. Akira was puzzled by his talks, as girls asked Simone to take care of his age. While the whole ordeal was weird in Akira's eyes, Simone had decided to live his life to the fullest, which was confusing to Akira. He stated that one must meet a lot of people to fully understand women. Sometimes meeting at least 1,000 of them was needed, since the less experience was pointless. It was too much to process for Akira, and he kind of gave up even trying to do so. The girls asked how did Simone understand man, to which he stated that gambling took out the real self of a man's nature, but usually men were easier to understand than women. Then Simone turned the same question towards Akira, to which he replied one could look at their failures to understand men. It was a good answer in Simone's view, while Akira proceeded that if a man repeated his failure, it was still okay unless they were doing the same thing over and over again. Simone liked Akira's point of view and complimented it. There was silence for a moment, which stiffened Akira when he remembered something similar happened with his boss. Simon stepped up and suggested to admire the beautiful ladies instead as the conversation got boring. Simone told Akira to enjoy himself as much as he wanted and was fine with that. Akira told him that he had the skill 80 human years, which was unheard of but a potential concern for Simone. Akira wondered if he said something wrong, but Simone praised him, calling him his friend, and claimed that Akira could meet a hell lot of women in that much time, and shared his dreams with him. After that, on the next day, Akira claimed he had fun, and so Simone asked him to come again soon. They had a good time last night with the women around, but then they heard loud voices coming from a direction. Apparently, a horse had gone wild and refused to listen to its rider's commands. Akira spotted a small kid in the path of the wild horse, and so he ran without thinking to save the kid. While running, he remembered the same happened when he died in his previous life, but this time he didn't want to repeat it, and so he stopped and used his skill stone wall to create a wall in the path of the horse and protect the kid from it. He managed to protect the kid and asked if he was okay. The city people were happy that Akira saved a kid even if he was a goblin. They thanked him, and he politely answered them while Simone observed him from a distance. Then Simone talked to someone hiding in the shadows and instructed them to observe Akira from now on. Simone's expression grew intense as he claimed that a goblin with a long life could become a greater threat than a demon lord. Then a man came shouting out to people to stop coming in his way. He was Master Sullivan Jr.'s coach. The guy was mad at Akira for stopping him and asked where the owner of this goblin was. Simone came and told Akira that Sullivan Jr. was previous prime minister, but it wasn't sure if he had been living in this city after he retired. The coach turned to Simone unaware of his real identity and thinking that he was the owner of this goblin. Simone apologized to the man. Akira was impressed seeing that the old man intended to deal with the situation without revealing his identity. But the guy was furious, claiming that an apology wasn't enough considering the person inside was someone important. Akira saw that the situation could go since the guy kept rambling, and used his clairvoyance to see through the caravan. It turned out that there was nobody inside to begin with, so he pointed that out in front of everyone. The guy sweated but still claimed Akira was lying. Simone came and stated if what Akira said was true, then the situation would be counted as a misuse of his authority, and it won't be easy to get away with it. The guy still didn't admit it, and then Simone got sober about handling it. Soon after, the guy got arrested by the soldiers for misuse of authority. The guys threatened to kill the old man, and then soldiers shut his mouth, revealing he was talking to none other than Count. Simone then thanked Akira for saving the small kid earlier, and decided to reward Akira for his brave deed. Simone agreed to provide autonomous government right to his village, which means it would be treated just like a human village, on the condition that Karen would oversee them for a while. Akira thanked him, agreeing that it wouldn't be a problem to be overseen by her out of everyone since she was the one who listened to reason when he approached her for the first time. After that, he returned to his village and told everyone the good news that they won't be subjugated anymore. All the goblins were proud of their village chief, and the goblin girls were attracted to him, wanting to have his babies. However, Akira stated that they should create some laws, and Karen kept overseeing their actions. Karen was instructed by Simone that she must keep a close eye on Akira, even if she was suspected in the process, but she was to make sure to inform him if she found anything fishy about him. She knew the importance of this if the Count himself gave her this undercover mission to watch Akira. While Akira finished stating some rules and asked the goblins with offensive skills to raise their hands, Karen asked what he was doing, but the goblins got scared of her since she was a human. Akira told everyone she was their ally, but she thought they wouldn't be convinced even if that was the case. Then she announced herself that she was here as an inspector, and she wouldn't cause them any harm as long as they didn't transgress any laws. The goblins got more scared of her. After seeing the cute eyes of the goblins, Karen couldn't do anything other than being nice to them. She approached them politely and introduced herself in a kind manner this time, calling herself as their ally. Akira told Karen that he hadn't informed her, but they should put a garrison in that location. He mentioned that organizing it would be beneficial, as it would make it harder for him to go on a rampage. He asked Karen how she thought of his plan. She responded by saying it was good, but she wondered if a 7-day lifespan would be enough for the goblins. She questioned whether they would lose their purpose right away. Akira assured her that he had an idea for that. He pointed to one of the boys from the group and commented that he looked good, naming him Hanzo. Subsequently, both the boy and Karen started calling him Hanzo. Akira stated that when it came to descendants, it had to be Hatoro Hanzo. Karen confessed that she didn't understand anything. Akira shared that he had been the same way when he first heard the name of the previous Prime Minister, Sullivan Jr. The boy agreed to adopt the name Hanzo from that point forward. Akira explained that when the boy died, his name would be passed on to someone with the same skill, who would become Hanzo II. After that, anyone with an offensive skill would join Hanzo's team. He asked all the children if they understood, to which they replied that they did. Karen expressed doubt about whether the children would follow all of Akira's instructions. He replied that he believed they would. Akira then asked the group to raise their hands if they possessed the skills of appraisal and accounting. Only 3 of them raised their hands, indicating it was a rare skill. Akira pointed to a boy and assigned him the name Kinokuniya. Kinokuniya enthusiastically agreed, saying, "Alright, leave it to me, Chief." Karen inquired if the naming system was for the purpose of interacting with humans. Akira explained that it was beneficial because if humans wanted to trade with them, they could contact Kinokuniya. He also mentioned that goblins who committed crimes would be handed over to Judge Toyama no Kinsen. Akira added that if a previous goblin died, the next generation with the same skill and name would fill the vacant position. He considered it a good system due to the short lifespan of goblins and their reputation as formidable creatures. In the following scene, a man was tied to a tree, and the goblin chief approached and asked what was going on. The chief inquired if the man was Hanzo. The man confirmed that he was Hanzo III and mentioned that it had been 2 weeks since the name succession system began, with each generation taking on their respective posts based on their skills. Akira thought to himself that everything was going according to plan. Kanzio introduced the human who had trespassed into the forest and attacked him but was captured without being killed. The chief asked if the actions were carried out independently. Hanzo replied that he had done as the chief had instructed. It appeared that the recovery process would take about a month, as it was a permissible strike in self-defense against a trespasser. The chief instructed to bring the human to Karen, but Hanzo hesitated. The chief asked what was wrong, noticing Hanzo's uneasiness. Hanzo denied anything being amiss. Akira remarked that Hanzo seemed shy, but Hanzo explained that he had made a promise to someone that once this task was completed, he would attempt to conceive. Akira was shocked and warned Hanzo that if he attempted that, the person would die immediately. He advised Hanzo to go and fulfill the promise, assuring him that he would take over. Akira emphasized that the person who made the promise should not be kept waiting and urged Hanzo to go and conceive a child. Hanzo sprinted away as quickly as possible. Akira contemplated how he would bring the human to Karen. Suddenly, a voice came from Karen, indicating her presence. He acknowledged her by saying, "So, you are here." She informed him that she had overheard the entire conversation with Hanzo and knew that the human was similar to him. Confused, he asked, "Like me?" She clarified that she meant someone who had passed on their duty, whatever it may be. She found it intriguing that goblins had a system of transferring their names to the next generation. Akira responded, expressing his dissatisfaction by stating that they were only at the 3rd generation, and the desired outcome had not yet been achieved. Curious, Karen inquired about his expectations. However, he quickly changed the subject to focus on the sleeping human. Both of them observed the human, and Akira remarked, "The human is sleeping and has burn cuts. There are some bruises here and there, probably." Akira utilized his power to damage the tree, demonstrating that the goblins needed to use skills from the same group. Karen questioned the significance of this and whether the goblins transferred their skills upon death. Akira confirmed her understanding but noted that the skills were acquired randomly. A boy shared a story about a goblin who possessed arithmetic skills but gained superhuman strength from the elder goblins by chance. Karen expressed her disappointment with the situation. Akira explained that when humans acquire a skill, they seek out someone with the same skill and merge with them, unlike goblins. She deduced that this was why he implemented the name system. Some boys chimed in, explaining that all the individuals surrounding Hanzo possessed offensive skills, increasing the likelihood of inheriting skills within that circle. One of them mentioned that it was rare for a goblin to have 3 or more skills of the same type. Akira disclosed his desire to pass on his skill to someone else immediately after being hit by a truck. He specifically mentioned wanting to give it to Takashi rather than his girlfriend, as he believed Takashi would utilize it more diligently. The same principle applied to goblins when they randomly transferred their skills. However, Akira expressed his intent to change that through the use of the name system. He emphasized that goblins continued to grow, despite their brief lifespan of only 1 week. She voiced her concern that if Akira implemented his plan, humans would inevitably view the goblins as a threat and consider them hostile. However, he assured her that it would be fine, as long as he was present, and any hostile acts would be minimal, merely requiring them to extinguish some sparks. Karen speculated that he might live a long life, to which Akira responded that regardless of their actions, humans' lifespan would only extend to around 80 years. Suddenly, something happened, and a girl began running. A voice exclaimed, "Where did she go?" Another voice replied, "Don't let her escape." They activated the search skill to locate her. Karen realized that the demon lord was still alive, and that she was drawing closer to him. She believed that everything would be fine as long as the demon lord remained alive. The demon lord himself expressed determination not to lose and anticipated that sparks would ignite sooner rather than later. In the next scene, Akira was at home, writing something while contemplating that he had sustained an injury from a chair, and would have to use it until a goblin acquired the skill of crafting furniture. He considered forming a group of craftsmen. Karen visited his home and inquired about what he was writing. He replied that he was drafting simple laws. Curious, she asked why laws were necessary. Akira explained that the laws were meant to demonstrate to humans, as goblins did not require laws themselves. Karen questioned the evidence that showing humans their laws would instill trust. She suspected that he was doing it for self-defense.